Ellen, and I'm going to be talking about the aftermath of World War One for Germany. Okay. The end of World War One for Germany. By 1918, it was apparent that Germany was losing the war. Both the military and civilians were exhausted. In 1917, the new Russian government admitted defeat against Germany. Germany imposed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk on Russia in spring 1918. However, in 1918, a major spring offensive by the German army failed. In this time, profiteers and black marketeers grew wealthy, and the rich did not suffer like the majority. This worsened social divisions and generated more anger. There was a wave of strikes across Germany in 1917. During World War I, total war geared the economy to the war effort, prioritizing the military over civilians. The government introduced price ceilings, requisitioning, and then rationing. Food, even potatoes, were in short supply, so were coal and clothing. Long queues for food, malnutrition, and starvation were common. 80,000 children died of starvation in 1916. The harsh winter of 1916 and 17 made shortages worse. By the autumn of 1918, the German army recognized it needed to sue for peace. It realized US President Wilson would be more amenable to a civilian government. Bitterness and resentment at the sacrifice and hardship that people faced through the war fueled social and political unrest, even in the armed forces. Ludendorff said in his autobiography, "Retreating troops, meeting a fresh division going bravely into action, shouted at them things like, 'Blacklegs' and 'You're prolonging the war.'" So, just trying to recap, who did the German army want to negotiate peace with? That's the US President Wilson. During World War I, there were long queues for food. There was malnutrition and starvation were common in Germany, and 80,000 children died of starvation in 1916. By 1918, people who once really respected authority became rebellious and open to revolutionary ideas. Meanwhile, the traditional elites worried not only about preventing revolution, but how they could escape the blame for the defeat. Firstly, the impact of the Bolshevik Revolution. The Bolshevik Revolution in Russia in 1917 alarmed political elites across Europe and led to greater political activity among the working classes. A small group of Bolshevik revolutionaries showed it was possible to overthrow an autocratic monarchy and that the army could not prevent revolution. Revolutionary wins in Germany. Economic problems and military failures in 1918 destroyed morale and led to criticism of the government. People became more open to revolutionary politics. Mutinies spread from Kiel across Germany. Revolutionary committees were formed, demonstrating anger at Germany's leaders, military and political alike. The unrest in Germany from 1918 into 1919, alongside important political change, is often called the German Revolution, a revolution from below. The military wanted a new civilian government to be formed, preferably from moderate and left-wing parties, to admit Germany's defeat and also take the blame. It was hoped that a civilian government would get better peace terms. Ludendorff persuaded the Kaiser to make Prince Max Germany's chancellor in October 1918. Prince Max had credibility with the military and civilians. More importantly, Prince Max could bring the SPD into governments, so a moderate to left-wing civilian government would take the blame for defeat. And here we're going to discuss some key developments in 1918. On the 29th of September, German generals recommended a civilian government and armistice. On the 3rd of October, Prince Max is made Chancellor and forms his government. On the 31st of October, there was the Kiel Mutiny and unrest began to spread. On the 9th of November, Prince Max hands chancellorship to the SPD's leader, Hébert. A republic is declared. The Kaiser abdicates and flees to the Netherlands. On the 10th of November, Hébert makes a secret deal with the army, the Hébert-Grüner Pact. And on the 11th of November, the new German government signs the armistice. Chancellor Hébert. Hébert was made Chancellor, and he was the leader of the SPD, an elected deputy in the Reichstag, and chair of the Council of People's Deputies. He brought members of the more radical USPD into the government as well. Hébert made a deal with General Grüner, vital to the transition to a republic. Grüner guaranteed the army and civil service would support Hébert's government if it supported the office corps and protected the army's food supply. Historical views. Historians have had a different assessment of Ludendorff. Haidt and Hinton in 2000 said, Ludendorff's manoeuvre, the myth of the stab in the back, and the shock of defeat were the background of the birth of democracy in Germany. It was not a promising beginning. Assessment of Hébert by Pinfield in 2015. Hébert could reconcile the radicals to a process of reform and prevent mass support being given to the revolutionaries. Carr's assessment of the Republic in 1987. The Republic was widely accepted by many Germans as a convenient means of filling the void left by the collapse of monarchy. So Hébert was made. So to confirm, Hébert was made Chancellor. He was also the leader of the SPD. He made a deal with General Grüner, vital to the transition to a republic, and he guaranteed the army and civil service would support Hébert's government if it supported the office corps and protected the army's food supply. And to recap some historical perspectives, Carr in 1987 stated that the German Republic was widely accepted by many Germans as a convenient means of filling the void left by the collapse of monarchy. So, in 1917, we remember that it was Russia who admitted defeat. Germany imposed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk on them. And in 1918, a major spring offensive by the German army failed. If we go back to what we were saying earlier, we spoke about how profiteers and black marketeers grew wealthy, and the rich did not suffer like the majority after World War I. This worsened social divisions and generated more anger. Hence, there was a wave of unrest across Germany in 1917. So if we're trying to recap what had destroyed morale in Germany by 1918, it was primarily economic problems and military failures. And just in considering what influenced the decision to make Prince Max Germany's Chancellor in 1918, it was that Prince Max could bring the SPD into government, is that he had credibility with the military and civilians. Ooh. Right. Okay.